And now, Legal Perspective with Nick Clekis.
We've all seen the headlines, arrests, courtroom footage, and high-profile bond hearings. But what really happens in bond court? Here to give us an inside look is former judge and owner of Clekis Law Firm, Nick Clekis. Nick, great to have you back, as always. So you were a judge?
Yes.
What type of judge were you?
I was a Charleston County magistrate.
Okay, and what does that mean?
Well, you can fill many positions. I did small claims court and bond court.
Okay, so explain to me, what is bond court?
So we have what's called a centralized bond court. So if you get arrested, not you, but I mean, if anybody gets arrested, whether it's Folly Beach, North Charleston, Mount Pleasant, everybody funnels into Leeds Avenue centralized bond court, and they appear before that judge, and then by statute have to do it within 24 hours.
Okay. What did you consider when setting bonds?
So a bond court judge has to consider two things by statute: risk of flight and threat to the community. Do they have the means to leave the jurisdiction and never come back? Or are they a threat to reoffend? And if you let them out, reoffending in the community.
One other thing that we see quite often is family statements or victim statements. And usually we see it more at the end of a trial, but they are in bond hearings as well. Does that have any true impact on how the bond is set?
Yes and no. Some bonds are preset based on the crime, but sometimes you have to take a lot of factors into consideration, and it's good to hear from the family. Sometimes it will influence your decision, but you also have to listen to law enforcement. What do they have to say about it? What's the prior criminal record of the person? How bad is the victim as far as, whatever happened? So there are a lot of things to consider that may influence the bond. So I always like to hear from the family.
What was the hardest part about being a bond court judge for you?
Well, sometimes people are charged with crimes that require that you set a high bond, and they don't really fit the mold. I had a lady that had been raped, and she had a gun on her seat because she was pulling into her driveway in a bad neighborhood. She got pulled for a minor traffic infraction. She got charged with unlawful carry, had to set a bond. She couldn't meet it. She was a single mom with kids, and she was not your typical unlawful carry criminal. That
situation was very unique and much different. Is there anything you can do in a situation like that to get the bond lowered, or are your hands tied?
Well, there was a time with the city of Charleston where there was all that ruckus on Upper King Street, where they had to close it down, and there was a lot of guns involved, and so there was a lot of pressure on judges to set a high unlawful carry, because they felt like, oh, it's a revolving door. These people are getting arrested, they're getting let back out, and they're reoffending. But you can't keep everybody in either. So, it's a fine line.
Yeah. One other thing I'm just so curious, you see these crazy videos online of people that attack or try to run up to the judge. Does that ever happen to you? Did you ever feel in danger in this situation?
I did a mutual restraining order. I was asked by the chief judge to do a mutual restraining order, and they had a city of Charleston police officer there in full riot gear because one of the parties was a known domestic terrorist, and so
oh my goodness.
So that was probably the scariest. But bond court itself is done by closed circuit TV, so they were in the jail and they're behind the screen. But they had that thing on the news today. I don't know if you saw it, but a man charged with murder in another state was rushed by the family, and they were beating him up in the courtroom. And the thing last year where the guy jumped over the bench and grabbed the female judge. I mean, it's criminal court is dangerous.
It is scary. And as always, any of your legal questions, 843-900000000 at Clekis.com is where you can go for all your information and all of your legal needs. Nick, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
We're back in 2 minutes.
This has been Legal Perspective with Nick Clekis.